Good morning.
Hey Joe, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Nice to meet you.
You too. You
Well,
too. Very nice to meet you.
yeah, thank you for taking a minute out. And before we get into your life, I want to start off with living through what we've gone through the last 3 years with COVID and how you made it through and how it's changed the way that you do things now.
Oh, I love that question. Right. What did I do in COVID? So I actually had a COVID baby in COVID.
Okay.
So I was busy having my second child. I was working. I had to stop work obviously for a bit. So COVID was kind of crazy for all of us because I run a business, but I also had a corporate job as well. So I come from an IT background, and I used to work from home, so I was quite used to that lifestyle anyway. But yeah, I like I said, I was having a baby, so I was very busy with family and preparing for the new life with a second child. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. But I'd say post COVID, or shall I say, COVID hasn't gone away, has it really? But
Right.
post lockdown, right? Yeah, it's been in terms of work, I'd say that things have been. I think what we noticed was just how busy life really got, in terms of you know friends and families, who may have corporate jobs, how they got busier, even though they're working from home, they're working longer hours.
Yeah.
Um, you know, same entrepreneurs, everyone's just I think what I really noticed was a lot of fear, a lot of just work, a lot more work is happening now.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of, I'd say stress and, some people are obviously doing really well, but you just see that there's still that residue that's left behind, after the whole lockdown process, and everyone's just still, I still feel like people are still finding their feet in some ways, of this new version of life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah.
So your business has to have exploded because you're a life purpose strategist. So things probably have really gone up and ups because everybody had to recalibrate their existence.
Yes. So funnily enough, my story is a little bit crazy. So I actually am a coach, a business and a life coach. So I was actually focusing more on the business coaching side of things. Plus, I kept my corporate job, because I liked to keep too busy. So over COVID and all that kind of time, I was focusing on those things and trying to help people, grow their businesses and just succeed, right?
Yeah.
How this journey came about for me was actually from my own version of burnout. So I've always worked, really hard, and I had a corporate job. I started my entrepreneurial journey as a coach, life coaching and business coaching. Went a little bit more into business coaching, and then 2022 was the year of burnout. Funnily enough, and it just led into, I think I was doing what probably a lot of people are doing, where they're just working really hard, neglecting so much of themselves and everyone around them. And that's, that sort of led me to that stage of just really burnt out, really tired, not focusing on the things that I should be focusing on. And I ended up doing quite a bit of work around this, area. So it wasn't in COVID, but it's definitely a post-COVID thing that I'm seeing and I'm helping with.
Sure.
So
So where are you located at?
I'm actually based in London.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. I
we're
was
still
finding
waiting.
you what?
We're still waiting for the summer, but yeah, in
Yeah,
London.
I've been through there before. Yeah, I'm a sunshine guy, so I'd have a really hard time in that Seattle-like environment. But I always find it fascinating talking to people in English-speaking countries because we're always fascinated with the way that we use our words. It's the same thing, but it just
Yeah.
shows kind of the peacock nature of English. There's so many different ways that it can fan out and I was actually I was in the back of a water taxi in Venice, Italy on the morning of 9/11, 2001, and I had
Oh
to find
wow.
my way back to the United States. So I originally was supposed to go to Paris and fly home, but I had to go to London and I had to fly out of Gatwick. But at one point, I was really road weary. We were trying to wrap our heads around getting home and what was going on. And I remember
Oh,
going under the English Channel. We were drinking gin and tonic, so I'm a little loopy and I'd never driven on the other side of the road. We're on the other side. So we get there and the whole ride, I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? we're gonna we're gonna get in a wreck, you know, and the guy's like, it's fine, it's good, we're good, you know, but it was just weird. But I remember getting a lot of comfort in London talking to people, and they were fascinated with the way that we were using our slang and talking,
Yeah,
and they just weren't sure what was going on with why somebody would do that and
yeah.
what the whole beginnings with bin Laden and all that. So it was interesting. It was, but but London's beautiful. It was really nice to be there for a little bit.
Yeah, it is a nice city. It's funny. It's we grow up in London, and I suppose everyone does this, isn't it? So you grow up in your own city, but you always want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now that I'm getting older, I'm really starting to appreciate the city again more.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm always saying to my husband, I'm like, let's go into London now and see more of it. You know,
Uh-huh.
just enjoy a different culture, because there's so many different cultures. Like, which one do we want to see? So yeah, it's definitely, definitely I love it. It's my city and very multicultural. So you get to see lots of walks of life. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's get to the essence of what you do on a daily basis. And I'm going to hypothetically put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. One of the
Okay.
kids looks up at you and asks, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
Oh, okay. Third grader. Right. The easiest way to put it is I help people live a happy life. I think
And
it's, yeah.
yeah, no, that's great. And that boils it down. So
All
when
the
you
time.
were in the third grade, what did you want to
Yeah.
be when you grew up?
Oh God, now you're really questioning me, huh? When I was younger, actually, I was really into the arts and acting and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
So growing up, that's what I really wanted to do. I didn't, but that was really sort of the dream of, getting out there and yeah, just being an artist, really. But
Yeah. So you obviously have been in the corporate world. You have your own business. You're an entrepreneur. So
yeah.
let's get to the beginnings of your life, where you were born and raised, and what the seeds were that got into you to want
Mm.
to be who you are, to have the business acumen and to want to help people. How did that happen?
So it's a mixture of stuff, really. But if I really go back to the beginning, I mean, I'm born and raised in the UK, so I'm London born. Um, Parents were from the Indian, so they're from India. Moved to this country, obviously pre my birth. So we're first generation, shall I say, British Indians.
Yeah.
Um, we were brought up with a lot of the culture of, work hard, get a good job when you grow up, and buy a nice house, look after your kids. I would definitely say that I was lucky in the sense that even though you hear a lot of sometimes in Asian culture, maybe any differences in girls and boys, I was definitely brought up with be somebody in your life, right? So I think how that resonated in my life was like I ended up having a good career. I didn't end up in university, but I was lucky enough to fall into the IT world at a very young age. So when the IT market was booming back in the day, over 20 years ago, I had gotten in then and I studied my way up. So I got really lucky, shall I say, to have that career. It paid well. Um, and it was just a really good career. And it still has been. I just left it recently, if I'm honest. But what I think came out of that was what I learned was obviously to constantly work hard and make sure that we're constantly providing and we're doing all that, and that's all great. But I think what that also led to, not I wouldn't say this is more so from our parents, but generally I think even society, right? That you always learn that if you don't work hard, you're not going to reap the benefits. So but I've always been quite an empathetic person as well. Like I don't like seeing people in pain. I will help anyone that I possibly can. So that's always been with me, just sort of growing up. And I think once I had my children, because it's quite a long story, I'll just be honest with you, but I'll fast forward into having my children. So when I had my first child, I felt this need that, I want time freedom, but I had a real love for my career as well. Like I just didn't want to give my career up or not earn enough money. Like it was very all important to me. So it's always been that case of just working and doing it everything. And then after having my child, I decided that I want to go into the world of entrepreneurship. Let me try this for myself. It's not been an easy road.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be honest, people sell the dream, and I'm not saying it's not easy for some, but it's definitely a journey. And especially for, I think me having children and still having my corporate career, you don't want to leave unless you know that you can have a good earning accordingly on the other side as well. Because you build a lifestyle, you do so much, don't you? So but I think because it's always been in me, I've always been the person that everyone comes to for help anyway. And I've always, worked hard. I think it's just naturally fallen into me being this coach or this sort of life strategist that I I've always wanted to find a solution to a problem. So I think this career now just kind of fell into my lap, like this is the future version of me, whoever this next version was going to be.
You know, it's
So
interesting. Yeah, my day job is as an IT technician for a large school district, and I've been in IT for my whole life. And it's
yeah,
interesting because I can see that because that's what you do as an IT person is you're always reverse engineering and peeling back layers and trying to figure out what is the issue and then fixing it. That's what you do,
absolutely,
you know.
absolutely. It goes so hand in hand, doesn't it? It's
Oh
like
yeah.
you didn't think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and but in my situation, half the time it's fun because the teachers are in the room doing their thing, and I'm the guy that comes in and fixes the projector, the kid's chair, and I get to go out. I get to be like the I get to be like the weekend dad, so to speak. Um,
Yeah.
so it's interesting too from the IT world. You talked about 20 years ago. When I was getting into it, you didn't have to have all the degrees and certifications. I was
No.
doing desktop publishing, and they were like, "Hey," because all of those people at the top of the corporate hierarchy are cheapskates. So they're like, "Hey, you want to just add another role onto your job and start looking at this mainframe and figuring out how to troubleshoot, and then you do it, and then you get
Yeah.
experience." Was that kind of how you got grandfathered in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I started a job in a help desk,
yeah,
and it was the shift work, answering the phone calls. And at that time, I suppose at my age, it was a great job to have because then you like we used to like this 4 on 4 off shifts.
yeah,
So you'd off 4 days, and if it fell on a weekend, you were free, and it was great. But with that, yeah. So as I worked my way up, I mean, I probably you may know this, a lot of people may not know this, but I became like a Cisco engineer.
yeah,
So I got Cisco, but they were just certifications that you got and you
yeah.
would learn on the job, right?
Mhm.
So definitely, I think it was, and at that point, yeah, I definitely think it was easier to get into that world and, learn that culture, learn what you need to do, and because it's so on the job training, it was the perfect time to
Yeah,
be in that market.
yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
whoever got in, it was brilliant for them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So in your life, we're always getting inspirations from people that were around. Who's been inspirational? Who's been kind of a role model or a hero for you?
Oh God. I've actually had quite a few people. Definitely my parents, definitely. Um, my dad's now passed away, it's been about 14, 15 years now. Really lived a good life. Life full of purpose, life full of happiness. Actually, he's one of the people that when I look back at was always generally a happy, calm being. And always a lot of positive, let's say affirmations in the house, right? Everyone was always boosted with positivity. If there was a problem, you sit down, you deal with it, you move on. We didn't hold on to a lot of stuff. And my mum was the same, so they were very close, and it was a really great upbringing. And I would say that over the years, I think naturally I've just encompassed like friendships, even my partner, we try to keep generally quite positive people around us.
Yeah,
Because you've heard that saying, isn't it? Have the five best five people around you. So I do try to live by that rule as much as possible because I I know that generally my personality is to be, energetic when I can be, but provide that light to others and provide that sort of, lifted spirit to others to lift everyone up. And to have that around you so they can lift you up as well is so essential. So I'd say definitely my close knit of people around me.
so, speaking of technology, if you can meet anybody in the world of technology, an innovator, somebody on the cutting edge that's alive right now, who would you like to meet and talk to?
Oh God. Oh God. Now you know what the names are going blank in my head. um was it the owner of Tesla? I would love to meet him.
Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, of course, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I would love to. I think I would love to just pick his brain as to how did he get to where he got to, and I mean, you hear so many stories, you read about him, and I know there's so much controversy about him in, the online world, but what he's created, what he's made, coming from that IT analytical mindset anyway, I just find it all fascinating.
Yeah.
Would love to sit with him in a room and just ask what got, like, how he started and what got him to where he did. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's wild. It's
definitely.
been quite an evolution for sure. So
Yeah.
every day you wake up, you have these things that you want to do and get done with your life. What
Mm.
is the ultimate motivator for you? What pulls you through the day?
Um, so definitely my purpose. So I know that sounds a bit cliche because I'm saying I'm a life purpose strategist, but the reason why I say this is because, like I said, 2022, I had a very tough year. And I had to rework and reconnect with what my sort of highest good was. What do I actually want in my life, right? Because I feel that when we're so caught in that sort of rat race of life, we sometimes lose. I think a lot of us just lose who we are and what we're actually trying to achieve at the end of this. Um, and when I done that work sort of at the early part of this year, and I really found like well, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It's that motivation of getting up every day and saying, today's another day that I'm going to be doing this work. And it's not always with my business. Sometimes it's outside of my business, with my families, with my kids. But it's just that getting up every day and saying, today I'm going to do whatever it takes to be living a part of my best life. If today's a busy day and I don't get to live completely joyously, what will I do today to just ensure that I'm still following that path? So that driver, that motivation is what pushes me through every single day.
So at the end of that proverbial day, how do you look back and quantify it as a good day? How do you say that day worked for me?
So I generally I write a gratitude journal, or I'll have a conversation with myself, sometimes with my daughter, or my husband. We have conversations. So we've made this quite a process in the house now of trying to have positive conversations and saying, okay, what went well today, rather than just sometimes we'll say, how was your day? But how was your day could lead to two different types of conversations. So even if something's happening that something didn't go well, we always try and establish, okay, what went well today? Let's look at the goodness of the day, because it's so easy to miss those little bits sometimes of what was great. So that, like I said, plus a gratitude journal, something that I'll just write in maybe a little diary or a little note somewhere, or a little win somewhere that happened. So I can just go back and look at it and say, yeah, that was amazing. I did it. Little or large, it doesn't matter.
Sure. So as an IT person, are you embracing AI or does it make you nervous?
Oh, I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it. I love to learn. Why not,
Yeah.
right? Let's
Right.
learn. Yeah. So,
I,
I mean, I've seen,
I,
sorry, I was just
no,
say,
no,
I saw
no.
some news and it was like, oh, it might be like crazy dangerous. And I was like, I don't know. It's out there now. We have to embrace it.
I think it's been around for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people get freaked out by Chat GPT and how much people can kind of rip each other off and not be original. I think that's kind of the bard with it. But I mean,
Yeah.
I have an app on my phone that's it's an art app, and you put in a couple terms and it pulls up whatever you
Oh,
want. It's wild.
okay.
It's called Starry AI, and you just put it in, and it can be anything. Like I have an old cat at home, and I've
Mm.
nicknamed her Orange Cat Party. So I just put that in and it like pulled up like all of these orange cats like having a
Oh,
cat party.
wow.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So I think maybe a part of maybe it's a generational thing where we saw Arthur C. Clarke and we can see how if machines do start taking over. I think the only trepidation I would have about it is that it would just start replacing humans on a level that we don't want to see. But I think we've had it around us for so much. We have Siri on our phone, we have Google
Yeah.
Home, we have Alexa, we have all of these things that are already AI driven. We're just
Absolutely.
ramping up.
Absolutely. And I think, the world is changing and we are in the technology age. And there's nothing we can do to change that. And the reality is this technology has given us so much as well. So I think this is just another thing that we do have to embrace. And I think, or shall I say, I'm hopeful that with anything that comes out that's new, it might have, a negative connotation to it. It might be something that doesn't work. But I think the world we live in, we would still, as humankind, try and make it work for the greater good rather than, bring it out for us worse. And people who are going to misuse it, they're going to misuse it, right? We just
Yeah.
have to, it's like cybersecurity, right? People are just going to have to get more knowledgeable there with AI and just ensure that they are making sure that everything's just as secure as possible.
Yeah.
But I think technology is so advanced that you'll on both sides, it will grow. We can't control that. But I think if we can learn more about it, then we'd probably feel more comfortable, just
Yeah.
understanding what it's about and what it can do.
Sure. So in your life of things that you've done and accomplished and been through, we gain wisdom. Let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 20-year-old version of yourself and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on what you've lived through and the wisdom you have. What would
Mm.
you tell your young version?
Oh God, I'll tell her a lot of things. There's a lot. I think the main thing I'd tell her is stop saying yes to everyone. Listen to your instincts. Like, trust yourself, because I think at that age you're so young and you absorb so much information. Um, just to learn to trust your inner instinct. And if it's telling you to do something, yes, go for it. But if it's telling you don't, then don't. And yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot of things I've done that I would not want to do again. But yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
would tell her.
Yeah. So everyone out there, you have all these pockets of people that exist in your life, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you
Hmm.
ultimately live your life. What's
Yeah.
your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh wow. Okay. Who do I think I am? I like that. Okay, so I think with what I've learned and everything that I've become, especially on this journey, I've come to, I think I know that I've come what I think I've come to the conclusion that I know that I'm someone like, as we've been talking, I'm very analytical as a thinker. But I'm also a very caring person and I really want to help myself as well as the world. Like I want to be a part of a really better world. I think maybe because COVID's happened as well, so that we've just learned so much, been through so much. In some ways, the world became smaller because we were all in the world going through the same thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think for me, it's just who I am is someone who just wants to be happy, live joyously, and spread that around me as well. So yeah.
Yes. So anybody out there that wants to hire you, they're interested in seeing what you have service-wise, learn more about you, where on the web can they go?
Okay, there's three places then. So they could email me directly, and that's hello@towardspurpose.com. And they can reach out to me. We can discuss working together. They can follow me on Instagram, which is instagram.com/towards your purpose. And I also have a free PDF workbook if anyone wants to start discovering their purpose now. It's a 3-question workbook that they can run through. And that website is towardsyourpurpose.com/3 steps. And that's 3 is in the number.
Okay. Excellent. This has been great. Thank you for opening up. And before we go, I got to tell you, I had this idea while COVID was going on for mothers that had children during the time, had a COVID baby.
Yeah.
Um, and this was kind of, have you ever seen the show Stranger Things
I
on?
haven't finished it, yes, but my husband's a big fan.
Okay.
So,
So kind of in this vein here, when they say like when you play classical music when the baby's in the womb, it makes them smarter. And I kept thinking during COVID, everybody was home. There was more sounds. So perhaps the babies have an increased intellect, and it could be a show about one of them that becomes a scientist and comes up with the cure to any strand of COVID in the future and totally blocks it because they were a part of that kind of incubation period during COVID. It might be a story idea. It could be a Stranger Things kind of thing.
do you know what? That's quite interesting. I think people would watch that.
It might be fun. So if
Yeah.
Spielberg or anybody out there catches wind of this, just cut me in. I'll take
Yeah.
20%. I'm good.
It's a great idea.
I'm ready. So
Oh,
it's great to meet you. Thank you for opening up. Send my
thank
best
you.
to London and good luck with everything.
I will do. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
See ya.